Today I'm making stewed pork and baked potatoes. To use some lemon, freshly squeezed lemon juice. So, as you can see, my meat is washed and clean. So now I'm going to season. I use a variety of seasoning today, but what happened is I'm going to use them in small quantity. The reason is you don't want your meat to be salty. You don't want that. When you finish cooking your meat, it should be at the perfect taste. You don't want any salty meat. So I'm just gonna add some jerk seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder, not a lot, just a little bit. Remember what I said, you don't want any salty meat. Just a little bit of onion powder. A little bit of paprika, just a little bit. And that is perfect amount for this. Now I'm going to add some wet jerk seasoning. It's hot, you know, so if you're using this, you don't need to put any other hot pepper into this. Just use this alone. So as you can see, it's not a lot of seasoning, just a little. But this is perfect. And as you know, if you're doing more than this amount of pork, then you put a little more seasoning. But to this amount, I have to make sure I have the right amount of seasoning. So to this, I'm going to add some ketchup. Also, I'm going to add some browning, or you can use soya sauce. It doesn't matter, it's just for a little color. And now I'm going to add my vegetables. When I'm cooking my meat, especially like beef and pork that I know it's gonna take a while, I like to cook my vegetables at the same time. That way it can get all the flavors that I'm looking for. And remember, like when you're cooking like pork and beef and so on, you don't necessarily have to cut your vegetables in tiny pieces like this. You can cut them in sizes like that, because it's gonna be there cooking for a while, so it doesn't. To this, I'm going to add some ginger. I'm just going to cut the ginger in small pieces, because sometimes when you put ginger in your meat, what happens is, if you don't know, if you can't identify them, because they catch the color of the gravy, if you don't mind, you're mistaken and buy them. So if you want, you can use ginger powder if you want, but I like to use the root. But I'm cutting them inside so I can identify them when the meat is finished cooking. Also, when you're cooking like beef or pork, you need a lot of flavor in those kind of meats. So make sure you add everything that can give it flavor. Even though I used garlic powder a while ago, I'm still going to use my garlic cloves, because I need all that flavor. Also, I'm going to use some fresh thyme. And people call these spring onion, green onion, but simple, we know these are scallion. So I'm going to put some in there. This, you can just break it in two and put it in there like that, because it's soft. So it will be okay to put it in there like that. No worries. So, you know, I can't do it without the onions. Even though I put some onion powder in there, you still need it, because you need all that flavoring. Trust me. Do it brown way, and trust me, you will have a lovely meat. When everybody wondering who is cooking that, trust me, who is cooking that food? That food smells so nice. That's what I'm going for. So, and I'm going to get all these seasonings in. So I'm going to mix them. You should smell this right now when it hasn't started cooking as yet. You should really smell this. Really nice. So make sure you get all these seasoning in. If you have a food glove, what you can do is use your hand, because using a spoon to mix seasoning in your meat, it doesn't go well as using your hand, trust me. But I don't have any food gloves right now, and I'm not going to use my hand because I have some wet pepper in this, wet jerk seasoning, and that's real hot. So I don't want to do that, and then I wash my hand and it wasn't washed properly as it should, and I use my hand, touch my face or anything. So it's best to just do it the right way. So everything is well incorporated. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this and let it marinate for about 2 hours. For our best result though in cooking the meat, what you can do is season it and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. But I didn't do that, so what I'm going to do is leave this for about 2 hours to marinate. Here's a little advice or tip and trick. Say for instance you're hungry and you want to just set this on the fire right now. You can do that, because what happens is with all these seasoned and vegetables, this will get enough flavor and you really don't need to put it aside for 2 hours. So you can just basically go and cook this. It will come out the same way. If you season it my way, you can just put it on the fire just like that. This has been marinating for 2 hours, so now I'm adding it to the pot. And guys, when you're cooking meat like pork and you know it's fatty, you don't really need to put any oil in your pot. All you need is, if you're using oil, just use like a little half teaspoon. When you pour your meat into the pot, make sure you stir this around. Don't just leave it like that. Stir it around. You need to have a certain look before you add water to this. So what you can do is just cover it for a little. Pay attention to it. Don't go far because it's gonna start sticking to the pot and maybe burn. Just stay close to it, cover it, and then you come back and keep stirring it. So as you can see, this is at the color that I was looking for. But everybody cooks different. Some people don't like this color. They like when it has a lighter shade than this. So do it your way. As long as it comes out with the perfect taste and it's cooked properly, then no problem. But do it your way. If you don't like it with this color, then cook it with the color that you want. Now I'm going to add some water to this. You should really smell this kitchen right now with all these flavors. Real nice. So I'm going to cover this to cook, and what you can do is make sure to keep checking on it, keep pouring water, let it stay there, cook until it's tender. But you have to keep adding water as long as they're on the fire until it's cooked. Put it in a pressure cooker pot for it to cook faster, then do that. If you want to leave it in a slow cooker, that's okay. If you want to leave it in the pot like I'm doing right now, then that's fine. As long as it's seasoned the right way, then everything is okay. Now here's my potatoes. I'm going to wash this properly and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So here's my potatoes. I've washed them. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to put these in the oven just yet. I'm going to cook them first. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to make some slices into these. Don't cut it down to the bottom. Cut it like this. But don't let it go straight through. Don't do that. Leave a space at the bottom. And you do that with all of them. Let's see. Here's a pot on the fire with some boiling water. Now I'm going to add my potatoes. Also, I'm going to put some salt in this, and then I'm going to cover and let it cook. Maybe about. So I'm going to cover this and let it cook for about, let it half cook, because you still have to put it in the oven. So here are the potatoes. They are cooked. Now what I'm going to do is I have them on a tray to bake, but this is not going to stay in the oven for a long time. This is going to just be in the oven for about 15 minutes because it's already cooked. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how I season these potatoes. So let's go. So we're going to add some garlic powder, some onion powder, paprika, and some parsley flakes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix this all together. So now we're going to season our potatoes. You're going to just sprinkle over it, sprinkle. Just a little sprinkle. So here is all my seasoned potatoes. So now I'm going to put this in the oven for about 15 minutes. And here is my lovely stew pork. That's hot. You see that steam? My baked potatoes. And here that was done off camera. So I'll show you how to do it another time. Don't worry. Oh, this is my lovely baked potatoes. And my stew pork. Look at that. Look how beautiful that stew pork is. Very nice.